How are y'all? So today I just want to do a quick review. I know I'm kind of late to the party on this one, but today I want to review my quick thoughts on Ironheart, the latest Marvel Cinematic Universe Disney Plus TV series. Man, man, what do I gotta say about this show, man? I guess I'll give some context. Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever came out, I think like 2022, and they introduced this new character called Riri Williams, aka Ironheart. Now, I get it, like she's from the comic books. I personally haven't read too many of them. I might read some after watching this TV show just to compare them. But from what I've heard, she's more of a spontaneous teenager character that's likable but just very exaggerated, right? Not necessarily a narcissist. But that's, like I said, that's from the comic books apparently. When I watched Black Panther Wakanda Forever and I saw Riri Williams in it, I personally did not like her character. I thought that her character seemed very arrogant, like she knew everything, like that, she was a know-it-all. And I personally don't like a lot of characters that are like that. And they were presenting this as like the next generation of Iron Man, right? Because Tony died in Endgame and we got to have a new Iron Man like character. And I get it, like she's from the comic books, but just man, what a pitiful introduction to this character. Like a character that I really didn't even like on her first appearance. Then they announced that they were going to be making a spin off TV show for her called Ironheart, which, I mean, wasn't a great sign just because, I didn't really like her appearance too much in Wakanda Forever. But, regardless, Marvel was pushing forward, and they had apparently filmed this show all the way back in 2022 in Chicago. That is wild to me. This show was supposed to come out years ago. I believe, it was supposed to come out originally in like late 2023, and it just didn't, which is mind-boggling. This show should have came out years ago because Wakanda Forever right now, at the time I'm making this video, is like 3 years old. Not a lot of people remember that movie fondly. Or not, maybe not fondly, but just, it's like so many years from now, right? And then you're releasing this show out of nowhere that has a character that hasn't shown up in anything for about 3 years. Are you expected people to remember her like that? Is beyond me. And the fact that Marvel put this show on the shelf for so long, they barely promoted it. I think like a month or two prior to this show coming out, they started promoting it. It is wild to me how much Marvel just did not care for this show. And that was already a hugely bad sign, plus her appearance in Wakanda Forever. But I'm always the optimist, right? Then we started to get trailers, and man, none of the trailers hit it for me. All the trailers to me looked pretty bad. Now, like I said, Marvel's released some mid-trailers. Thunderbolts came out, kind of having a mid-trailer, but the movie turned out great. So I was looking forward to this show, weirdly, just because Marvel was, at least with Thunderbolts, it seemed like they are on a bit of a run, right? A little bit of a up streak. But, man, I finally got this, excuse me, I finally got enough time to sit down and watch all 6 episodes. I kind of want to just wait, not review the show episodic. Marvel just kind of dumped this show, 3 episodes each for past a week, which is crazy to me. It shows you how much they cared about it, not releasing it weekly like they did with Daredevil. But I got the time to actually sit down and watch all 6 episodes and give the show a shot. And man, I'll be honest, I'll go with the positives first before I get into the huge negatives. The positives are, for one, it's not as bad as the trailers or a lot of people are making it out to be, right? Maybe to your definition. For me, I thought this looked like a Morbius level event, like a Morbius quality project. Morbius is a horrible Marvel movie, and I expected something similar to this. It's not as bad as Morbius. I don't think it's the worst MCU project either. There's been worse I've seen. Other positives, I guess I can say. Some of the characters, I were likable. I thought that some of the actors they got for the roles here, like the dude they got to play Hood, he was the dude from Transformers. I liked his role here. I thought he did a good job. He had some charisma. Ezekiel Stane, the guy who played him, I know he played Han Solo. He did an okay job as well. And some of the side characters are not bad. I'm not the biggest fan of the actress herself, Riri Williams. My opinion on her performance compared to Wakanda Forever really hasn't improved much. I think she's still, I mean, she can definitely deliver the traumatic chops, but just the way she's written and the way her personality is, I'm not the biggest fan. Um, the CGI was overall pretty good. The show was well shot. I liked a lot of the musical choices and editing. It wasn't too bad. There wasn't really a lot of action in the show, which was a criticism, but I thought that the Iron Man suit looked pretty good in this show for the most part. I still think the Wakanda Forever suit was peak in terms of design for me personally, but the suits here in the show, I think there's like three of them. They're not bad looking. They all look pretty good. The CGI is very good on them, and the action while it's there is still pretty solid, right? Um, and trying to think, and there's some things about this show in terms of its writing are not bad, but yeah. Now for the negatives, man. This show really doesn't do you any favors in terms of actually liking Riri Williams. I'm sorry. As the title character of this show, the character that we're supposed to like, to grow with, to, get ourselves invested in because she's supposed to be the next generation Iron Man. Man, what a pitiful job. Riri, in my opinion, while she does change a bit, from her arrogant personality, know-it-all in the show, she's just not really that good of a person, just to be honest with you here. Her actions in this show are crazy to me. And the fact that we're supposed to, sympathize with her to a certain degree is insane. For example, the first episode, she, she basically plagiarizes all this school work, right? Like, she gets with other students, finishes their work for them, commits plagiarism at a university, while they're funding her Iron Man project, and her reaction to just being kicked out is shock. Like, what did you expect that would happen? And then she gets her suit and steals it from the university, which, by the way, was with their funding. Already not a good look for the character. Then she goes back home to Chicago, reunites with her family. Her mom rightfully pissed because apparently that she hasn't been talking to her. Once again, not a good look for the character in the beginning. Not a good look. She gets associated with these gang of criminals who have been stealing from these high-tech companies, trying to play it off as some kind of Robin Hood thing, which I don't see because all the characters in the show in the gang, so to speak, never give money back to the poor. So I'm not exactly sure how that works. But she gets associated with them, and they do this a lot in the show. Riri builds her first Iron Man suit after the white one, the first one in the first episode, collapsed. She builds it out of car parts and random pieces, and I get it. She's a brilliant person, but Tony Stark couldn't even do that. It took him a few weeks to build his first Iron Man suit in a cave with a box of scraps. I'm trying to come up with a quote here. And in this show, she does it twice. And I'm sorry, in the time span that the show says, 24 hours, she builds this suit. I don't buy it, bruh. I'm sorry. It would take a week to build this Iron Man suit. How can she build it so quickly? And she does this again later in the show when she builds her final suit, which is infused with magic. Now, that one at least is a little bit more believable because she's working with people, but still don't buy it, right? I just don't see how she can be so smart and generate a suit that quickly. Doesn't make sense. And then, she gets associated with this gang, trying to get money for her suit, doing all these really suspicious things, and then at one point in one of the heists, she intentionally murders someone. I would say this was a case scenario, in the show they say it was self-defense, which is the Hood's brother, by the way, she murdered. I would say in some scenarios, he was attacking her, and, because basically, she was snooping around, kind of caused everything about the heist to go crazy, almost killing the whole crew, by the way, to get a piece of the Hood's cloak. My thing, too, about that, why couldn't she just done that earlier? Sneaked into his, place, when he was asleep and done that. Did you really have to do it during that heist? Regardless, I would say that, the show says it was self-defense, but then like she straight up at one point she gets the Iron Man suit. The dude is basically stopped fighting with her, says, "Hey, save me." And then she just leaves, closes the door on his face and leaves, basically murdering him. That is insane behavior. That's psychotic behavior. Why the hell would our main character, who we're supposed to be rooting for, murder someone? It's wild to me. And all the characters in the show who are supposedly the villains have weirdly sympathetic goals. The Hood, for example. Now, I get to a certain degree why he's the villain. He's being slowly possessed by this darker energy with Mephisto, with the Hood, right? So I get it to a certain degree why he's the villain. He's being possessed by something higher. He also has a lot of trauma from his childhood. But he's rightfully pissed about Riri murdering his brother. Rightfully, understandably mad, right? Doesn't make any sense, right? Doesn't make any lick of sense. And we also have Ezekiel Stane, who is like one of the only connections to Iron Man stuff at all, the son of Obadiah Stane. He's like this very nice guy working on these crazy biotech stuff. Lends it to Riri, who he doesn't know what she's going to use it for, but says, I can't allow this to be traced back. And it ends up blowing back on his face. Is crazy. And maybe the smart thing would be to come and confront yourself and say, hey, it was actually me who took this. Nah, she kind of, inadvertently lets him take the fall for it. It's wild to me. And the villain breaks him out of prison, joins up forces. He even does the right thing of not killing her. Is beyond me. It's wild to me. And of course, he still at the end of the show says, I have grievances with you, which is natural. Like, I totally got his point of view. Is wild to me. The biotech stuff I'm mixed about. Like, I think it looks pretty goofy. I don't know. They could have maybe made it look different. But I don't know. I've seen in so many shows, like, dudes that have, like, cybernetics inside them. But it's like a cheap way of not actually doing some kind of suit. Just because it's cheaper to look, I guess. I don't know. It's okay. It's whatever. It's not a huge deal. And the fight's kind of whatever in the show. Like, another problem with this show, there's, like, barely any action. There's some cool heist moments. Like, the first heist is okay. And the last scene where Riri fights Ezekiel is fine. The last scene where she fights Hood is fine as well. Now, another thing about this show was they also said there was going to be a magic-infused armor. One of the pauses I forgot to mention was the magical side of the Ironheart show where they introduced, like, magic and spells and Mephisto at the end of the show, who, believe it or not, Borat is actually playing him. There, I think there was a lot of, like, fan casting of, like, him playing Mephisto, but it's crazy they actually got him to play him. But every time he's on screen in the last episode, I really liked his performance. I thought he did a really good job. And I thought that the magic stuff made, Ironheart pretty interesting. Because we've never seen that before with an Iron Man related thing. I thought that element was pretty interesting, right? The biggest problem with it is that it's a magic-infused Iron Man armor, and she does squat with it. She uses it in the fight against Hood and, like, creates some kind of weird hologram, and that's it. Like, I was extremely disappointed. I thought she was going to be doing all this really cool stuff with magic and Iron Man suits, but she doesn't. She just kind of uses some trickery, some magic tricks. Very lame. Very lame. I don't know. And then even at the end of the show, I heard that she accepts some deal with Mephisto, and she knows better, but she still accepts the deal to basically get her friend Natalie back, who is an AI, who throughout the show she kind of inadvertently creates using her brain scan, I guess, but brings her back to life with, more comic accurate hair and like a future flashback, I guess you can call it, at the end of the show. And I'm sitting here thinking, was she stupid? Like, she knew the consequences, right? She knew what happened to Hood, and yet she still accepts the deal. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Maybe she has some secret plan in the future that maybe she's going to manipulate Mephisto herself, or maybe there's some kind of greater goal. But when she accepts the goal or the Mephisto offer, wow, that's extremely interesting. the way it's presented in the show, it makes her look kind of dumb, right? It just makes her look like, are you serious? Like, you're just going to do this to get her friend back? Despite the consequences that you've already seen with other people here, is wild to me. It is extremely wild. And what else can I say about this show? I mean, I don't know. I didn't really think too many of supporting like the gang members in the hood, like with the heist. I didn't think were that engaging. I mean, I do support the the LGBT community, and some members, are there clearly. They don't state them. They don't say, "Oh, I'm this" in the show. They're just kind of there, and that's fine. I mean, that's all good. I do like when shows do support that stuff, but it doesn't really add anything. It's nothing to really be said about it. What else about this show? Riri just, I don't know, like, at the end of the show, she doesn't change much. I mean, she changes in a way where she lets her mom and friends around her help her out and learns to not shut people out so much and handle everything on her own, which is a fine arc. And getting over her dad's trauma is an interesting idea. But yet, like I said, it's completely dumbfounded by decisions she makes throughout the show, and she still kind of acts like an arrogant know-it-all throughout the whole experience. And then she makes the Mephisto deal, and it's mind-boggling. Like, she didn't, like, see the consequences? So I don't know. Overall, not a really great show. Not as bad as everyone's going to say it is. Like, it's not the worst MCU project, but it never really won me over on the character of Ironheart. It just wasn't really. I think it was probably, to be honest with you, one of the worst Disney Plus Marvel shows in a while. To be honest with you, it just really completely fumbled the bag, in my opinion. I think it really failed. I don't know if it's the worst Disney Plus MCU show, but it's definitely on my lower ranking. I'm not planning on watching this thing anytime soon. So yeah, overall, not a great show, not a great addition to the MCU. Marvel could absolutely do better, but it seems like Marvel just wanted to dump this show. But overall, not a great show. That's all I gotta say. Peace.